Well, hey, and welcome to our HR podcast or whatever the heck we're calling this thing. And, what's happening behind the scenes that no one really knows is that at HR Law Made Easy, we're constantly doing shit. Like it's not like we sit around and like, oh, let's think about doing things. It's just ridiculous. So this last week we discovered that and verified that there were 1,274 HR law changes from October of 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Now, for those that are tracking, so go ahead, Tara. Sorry.
Wow, it's a lot.
Yeah. So for those that are tracking this stuff, or those that pay attention to this stuff, every other provider that's out there, and I won't name names, but I could, is promoting that there's like a couple hundred HR law changes every year, or there were a couple hundred HR law changes, that there's like 40 HR updates that go in effect January 1st. So the fact that they missed a few is probably an understatement.
A little I was going to say, I have something on LinkedIn pulled up right now that's like, hey, did you know there's 40 plus? So I guess they're not inaccurate. There's the plus.
Yeah, there's a plus there, and there's more than a few hundred. I mean, you could count a few hundred as 12 of them, 1,200.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Jim, because a lot of people don't realize that in the last few months of 2025, there were so many law changes that it would require 50 separate updates to various handbook policies in order to make sure that your handbooks were compliant. Now, you have to recognize behind the scenes that's tied to specific locations or what are referred to as jurisdictions. But we'll just use the word locations. It could be a state level or federal level or local level. But yeah, I mean, for sure, were there over 40? I think there were exactly 45 updates is what they're referring to as to the January 1 updates. But I think what's really even more important is like, what's the impact of those law changes on the policies that are contained in your handbooks or other things you're required to do outside of just policies, right? And that's really where compliance tends to fall down. So with this is like a exciting whatever. We get super enthusiastic about legal changes, not because it means more work for us or not because we understand the value of what we're doing, but we get excited about it because we know what it takes to actually do this process. But moving off of that, right? Like we'll kind of come back to that full circle. What I'd really love for us to chat about, and I would love your input, is the fact that if we were to take every HR law and we were going to put it in a book like the books behind me, that it would fill 80 feet left to right, 8 feet tall, worth of bookshelves. So who here wants to dust that?
No, thank you. No,
I don't dust.
Yeah, no. Thanks.
What's amazing,
I don't even
what
want
I
to set
find
that up. I don't. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
imagine not even just dusting it, but imagine like going in and keeping them up to date manually.
Well, just think like, let's say they didn't even change. Like, let's just eradicate the idea of updates. Then you take someone, you hire them for HR and you go, that, right? You got all that, right?
Yeah.
If not, I need you to go read a lot of these.
It makes perfect sense. Like, yeah, we're a multi-state company. Just make sure you got the gist. Yeah, go for it.
Long onboarding process.
Yeah, long onboarding process. Lindsay, it's funny because I recently talked to a company that shared with me that until they started working with HR Law Made Easy, they truly believed that they could just do this all on their own, like part-time.
It's
not even
an
a full
interesting
time
belief. Before I started working with HR Law Made Easy, I thought I could do this on my own, with a little assist from Google here and there. But truly, the confidence that I get from just having it all in one place with HR Law Made Easy is huge. I know that my people are getting what they deserve out of their career and from us as an organization. And I know that we're providing that for our clients.
Yeah, that's really nice. For sure. Well, Alex works with our technology team. Jim works with our design team and with myself in product development. Lindsay is our chief human resource officer. Tara is in the executive group, and she really does everything other than design. I don't think she programs or designs. That may be the two things that Tara doesn't do.
Yeah.
If anybody ever wondered, like, what's the behind the scenes on the folks that are on this meeting, I am a lawyer, the resident lawyer in the room. The thing I'd love to talk about are some of the exciting new releases and some of the things that we're already doing. So, Tara, as you know, a lot of what we do surrounds grabbing that 80-foot long bookshelf, right? Reading all that stuff and then finding an easy way to hand to our customers, like, hey, here's the stuff you need to do, right? I mean, you've experienced some of the things that we've gone through, the trainings and other stuff. And like, as someone that works in a corporate organization who's been an executive for a while, like what is your experience with what you've gone through with HR Law Made Easy compared to other software that you use day in, day out?
I think first off, I'm just going to say the ease. The word that I'm trying to come to mind is just, I guess, the simplicity. The way that HR Law Made Easy makes everything so easy to understand in plain English. Mm-hmm. Everything else that I use, it's researching words to just try and digest and understand how to do certain things. And with what you've created, you're taking those 80 feet and 8 foot high and all those books and all those laws and compressed it down and made it into simple terms for everybody to understand, which is key. Absolutely. That's the biggest
searchable.
thing. Searchable, yes. Yes.
Well, it's funny. We had a client come to us and tell us that this is their head of HR. She was so excited. They sent out the handbook presentations, right? Which is something that I know Jim and Alex and myself have worked on for years now. We've done the work, paved the way to arrive to where we are today, which is that a handbook presentation can go out and it's short videos that explain things simply. So their head of HR comes to me and says, I couldn't believe it. Like she runs a construction company and she's got a lot of folks that, they're in trucks and they're out in the field all day. And she brought them all in to kind of go through the whole thing and they watched the video. And she said, after the presentation, I actually got questions about the handbook that, and she held up her hands and she said, that made sense.
Because it weren't just a repeat of something that they went that's in the handbook, just plainly like, yeah, it's right there.
This is this like idea of like understanding versus, signatures, right? So a lot of companies really are going for signatures or like, and Lindsay, you and I have talked to this, with our own onboarding process here at the company. The goal isn't to get people to sign documents.
Right.
The goal is to really make sure that people understand the stuff that we're sharing with them. What's the point, right? And along those lines, I mean, some people just don't know this. You can look this stuff up. So in 2006, I think this is one of the older cases on this topic, but in 2006, court case that came into Missouri, there was an employee and they were suing their employer. And at the time it was a big retailer, and the employee handbook came into the court case, and the court held that the drug testing policy that was in the handbook was invalid because there were so many policies in the handbook, and because there was no way to prove that this employee read that policy, that the entire handbook and policies not valid.
Mm-hmm. As good as not having one. Yeah.
As good as not having one. So like Tara, for example, like when you've gone through our handbook presentations, like, and you're going, you listen to the video and then you get to the end, like you're pressing an acknowledgement button at the end of every policy. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That you understand it. Yes.
And then behind the scenes, Alex, from a technology standpoint, what do we then do with that click?
So we log that acknowledgement so that we've got it in sort of I don't want to use piles of fancy terms, so I'll just say it's an audit log. So you can easily say, oh, great, I know that so-and-so has seen and acknowledged this as of, this date time.
So we actually have a date and time next to every single policy in a handbook presentation.
We call that bulletproof.
Yeah, I mean in that court case, which I think is it's one of the older ones that we found. So this is like 20 years ago, right? When this really first started up, and it's surprising how few people know that courts are completely throwing employee handbooks in the trash, even the ones that are signed. And the reason they're throwing them in the trash is because there's no way to prove that the employee read the individual policies that are contained within it. At least there was no way to prove that until HR Law Made Easy. Because for our policy presentations or handbook presentations, you're getting an acknowledgement tied to every single video that we know they watched, because you cannot advance to the next policy until they watch the video. So there's like, you have evidence and proof that they at least heard about the policy. The full text policy is there, and they click acknowledge for every single one of those, which is really nice. But those series of court cases continue. This is my favorite one, Jim, and I think you'll appreciate this. 2018 court case in Pennsylvania, where the employee is in court and is on the stand and is quoted as saying, "Yeah, I just threw it in the back of my truck because at the end of the day, when you're tired, when do you really have time to read it?"
I like this guy.
Which, I mean, comes back around. Even if you could like say like, okay, yes, someone read all these policies, it'd be very hard to prove, especially given what the complexity is in these handbooks. Like it's like contracts and lots of legalese in there. And it's just hard to actually make sure that you fully understand exactly what is being said. And if it's like 85 pages, forget it. I mean, it's just so even if the person signs it, even if they did put eyes on every single one, what are the odds they actually got all of that data?
Yeah. And what's so cool about what we do is handbooks originally, and Sean brought this up in a different episode, handbooks originally had a very clear purpose. Hey, on Fridays, we dress casual. Come on in. Don't show up late. Real basic stuff. All of a sudden, the authors of those policies became a whole different set of individuals. We like to call them lawyers. Those individuals had a kind of different purpose in mind. It wasn't about Friday anymore. It was about saving the company from extreme cases, which now it's a 1 in 6 chance that you get sued, but it used to be more extreme back then. And so the writing, the authoring, if you're thinking about like a Hollywood movie, you don't hire lawyers to write your scripts. So the chance of someone understanding it, because that's the whole purpose of the activity, right? Someone got it. Hey, don't sexually harass. It's simple. Someone actually got the thing now because someone did the work to take it out of the hands, right? Like the legal thing is the protection. It's amazing. You have to have the 80-foot bookshelf, unfortunately. But someone did the work to go, no. The dude who's going to drive home and he's tired should actually understand what's expected of him. So that is the dual system that I think makes our product so simple. As Tara said, it's for the end user, but we didn't skip the fact that you need to be protected as a company. So all of a sudden you don't have to lay everybody off, because congratulations, January 2026, the policy in Nebraska for 6 or more employees changed. One dude found out about it. Some billboard lawyer was like, let's do this. And you went out of business.
Yeah.
I think furthermore, in that goal of actual understanding for your employees, we did not skip over the idea that people learn in different ways. And so having the video that can be watched, the presenter that's speaking the words to you, the written policy there for you to read it, we're covering every possible way to make sure that people have the tools that they need to truly understand it. If I understand things well by reading it, I like that my sister understands well when somebody speaks it and talks to her. Tara's my sister, by the way, if you guys don't. But you know, people learn in different ways, and we've taken that into account and given you all of the tools to accommodate all of the different ways of learning and creating that full understanding for your employees.
Yeah. Well, and it was a lot of great feedback from Lindsay, yourself, Tara, Alex, others. And I know Jim worked countless hours refining and adjusting the experience for users so that we were able to magically present, you know, the structure of the handbook presentations is laid out in a way where I think purposeful design, Jim, if I remember that, as we talked through and looked at how do we want to deliver this to employees? How do we want the experience to be one where it feels easy and it's one that you can do on your phone or it's one that you can do on the computer, right? And at least on the computer, there's a left side table of contents. And I think one of the key design reasons behind that was to let people know where they are relative to where they're going, so that they're not ever wondering like, when does this end? Because
Right.
it's
Absolutely.
I mean, some handbooks are really long. I mean, it depends on the organization and the requirements and so forth. But I mean, I know that handbook presentations you can get through pretty quickly. The benefit being that you actually understand and listen to and get the information, as opposed to just being handed a document that you flip to the back and sign it and then
Or throw in your truck.
or throw in your truck, right? Yeah.
And you can come back to it. You can take it in bites. Like you can take a few policies and go do more work or whatever, come back to it, see a few more. It doesn't have to be all in one sitting.
Yeah.
And it was very purposeful design, Sean. These were your design specifications. I want people to understand policies, if I remember correctly, that meeting.
Yeah. I mean, that was definitely the goal. The goal is that, when you go back and you read the law, and the law says that we have to share whatever the information is with our employees. As part of that, there's the discussion of employees need to either read and understand, or that they need to understand that the information needs to be, conveyed or shared. And it's why courts are throwing handbooks out the window. I've already mentioned a few, but there was a court case in Ohio, and I'm purposely not mentioning the names of the companies. You can look this stuff up, but I don't want to target the companies themselves, because it's not that these companies were bad. I mean, they did the right thing. They had the handbooks, they had the policies, like they actually structurally followed the rules as they thought they existed, only then to realize that the 58-page handbook that was handed to an employee, that was then used as a defense for firing the employee then comes in and says, well, I didn't read that policy. And the court looks at it and goes, this is a 58-page handbook. Like, and you had this in your human resource information system, your HRIS, and they can digitally scroll to the bottom and just click acknowledge. Can you prove that they read it? Mm-hmm. And of course the company's like, no, because they didn't have HR Law Made Easy. And boom, they lose that case. And they have to pay this employee because of that. Had they been able to prove that the employee had read that policy, it would have been a correct reason why they let the employee go, because, hey, the employee read it, they understood it, we let them go for that. The employee said, well, wait a minute, I didn't even know that was the rule, and you're using that to fire me? Mm-hmm. Even though the employee had signed the handbook digitally. They just had no way of proving that the employee had seen that policy. So HR Law Made Easy finally, for the first time, solves the acknowledgement by policy problem. And because of the videos in the system, you can show that to a judge and prove that, you play it for the judge. Like, hey, here it is. It's crystal clear. It should be like, wow, that's incredible.
I'm excited. Yeah. I want that case to happen.
The way that I want to highlight so much for so many people that they probably just don't understand, much like myself before all this, that there's so many steps to having a good handbook. It's not just, it's the understanding, the easy to understand, the acknowledging the policies, all these different steps. So many people, I think, have it in their head that, oh, we just need a handbook. That's all. Right. They don't know all the other things that can still get them in trouble. So we do an amazing job at outlining and doing all the things correctly for these companies. So we don't have the shisty billboard lawyers.
Yeah.
Well, and further than that, some people just think, well, we're in communication with our small team. We've got 20 employees. We're verbally here with them every day. We don't need a handbook. We can discuss the policies live. I've seen a lot of that, especially with younger companies as they're growing. They think you don't need all of this written down and put in one place, because, we're here every day. We're face to face with our people. That's not the case. You absolutely have to have an employee handbook.
Yeah. It reminds me what you're talking about, Tara and Lindsay. It reminds me of a conversation that we had with a law firm in California. California's got a lot of employment laws, sort of extra employment laws, if you will, which is not a criticism. It's just numerically, it's a fact. They just have a lot of employment laws. Okay. And before I got introduced to this lawyer, which I got introduced to through a client, right? So we're working with a company. They say to us, well, we've got this lawyer that's done this stuff before, I really think you all should talk with them. When, arrived and started having the conversation with the lawyer, as an attorney, this person was an attorney. I'm an attorney. I'm a lawyer as well. We just start talking about just it's the stuff that you don't really talk about in front of clients, but it's also like the no bullshit conversation. And the no bullshit conversation is that if you're trying as a lawyer to make sure that someone is following the law, the very first step, you must have the law.
Right.
It is impossible to follow the law if you don't have the law and have read it.
Wait, so I can't just like guess at what the law is what you're saying? Like, I think you're not supposed, that's probably right. We good.
Yeah. There's no such thing as Jim's law. You don't get to create the law.
That's messed up.
Yeah. So like, I mean, Jim, I know you have access to a lot of AI tools right now, and we don't need to pull up the screen, but just real quick, just pop into one of your AI chats and ask it, how many policies do you need in the state of California to be compliant if you have more than 15 employees?
So, spoiler alert, if the AI doesn't have any source material on which to base its answer, meaning if you can't Google it, AI can't give it to you because AI has gobbled up the internet, right?
Or if you Google it and you get 18 different results,
which are all wrong, then you're going to get the wrong
Okay,
answer.
so
What do you got, Jim?
It's coming. All right. Most companies, it doesn't tell me what I need. First off, it doesn't say. That's the truth. It doesn't fucking know. But it says 12 to 15. If we're a mid-sized employer with 50 plus, we might need 20 to 40 in the state of California to stay compliant.
Yeah. So there's nothing like 20 to 40. Try putting that on in a handbook. So here's the other thing you can ask AI. How many total HR laws exist in California?
See what it says.
It's not going to tell you. So
this response is amazing. Short answer, there is no total number. and here's why.
Yeah. So in case people are wondering, there are just over 900,000 laws that apply to companies that operate in California. And we have the exact number of federal, state, and local laws that exist in California because we knew, this goes back to the conversation that I had with the attorney, you can't actually get the law applied correctly if you don't first, I'm putting my hands out behind me like these law books, right? If you don't actually have the law, okay? So step one was, and this is kind of a little known fact, so I mean, we might as well just kind of open up the curtain, right? We developed a process and a system and a technology that we internally call Watchtower. We've had different names for it that we've used internally, but we internally call it Watchtower. And what that Watchtower system and software does is it assists our people to monitor and stay on top of every one of the HR laws, because we knew step one was we had to go get all the HR laws. And we knew this because many of us that worked here together previously worked in the tax compliance space, and that's what we did there. And it was really successful, and state governments used us, and everybody used us. Walmart, Amazon, Google, Chick-fil-A, I mean, you name it. They all used that system for tax compliance. So we knew that was a winning recipe. So we came in, we did the same thing for HR law. Is like, hey, how do we go get all those laws? And let's start with the source material. Let's farm to fork this, right? Let's go ahead and get the produce right out of the ground. Let's pull it up. So we started doing that. And then we were really surprised to find out that the volume of books was a lot larger than we thought it was. Now, what was also very interesting, and this is kind of a fun fact, is that I already threw out the fact that there are over 900,000 unique laws, federal, state, local combined, that apply in the state of California. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the fun part. Imagine that these books behind me represent California. I mean, this little short, but like, let's just pretend that these are the California laws. We would need a lot more space, right? Mm-hmm. So here's the fun part. You then grab one, right? I think these are actually Florida statute books. Yeah, this is the Florida statutes, right? Which are just laws that are published by the people we vote into office. So that would be like the legislature. When we vote on a person and they take office and they create laws, those laws are called statutes. Anyway, just quick like legal.
Just background. Go watch How a Bill Becomes a Law. Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah.
You got that.
Schoolhouse Rock. So then what happens is you go through these, and the text is not big. I mean, these are, here we go. And I'm not going to read you these laws, by the way. I don't really think that, you want me to talk about where full review of administrative action is given in circuit court as a matter of right. One appeal, anyway, whatever. Let's just stop.
Bedtime
Right?
stories.
So statutes are the most difficult to read and understand. Normally, they're the most difficult to read and understand. And that's not a criticism. It's just as an attorney who's done lots of law stuff, read lots of laws. There's a scale of like most difficult to understand and read, all the way down to easiest to understand and read. A lot of the stuff that's published by the agencies of the government. So these are groups that the government creates to help run things. So for example, your Department of Motor Vehicles is an agency of the government, right? Your Department of Labor, or whatever the state calls the Department of Labor, Department of like Rights or Human Rights, or whatever those departments are, right? They actually do a pretty darn good job of writing things simply because they're more frontline. That's the group that you're going to pick up the phone and talk to. You don't usually call your congresswoman or congressperson, right? You don't call them to ask them about the law that just got passed. That's not an often. I'm not aware of that happening that often, but you will call the Department of Motor Vehicles if you've got a question about your tag or your car, or whatever. You will call the Department of Labor if you've got a question about like, hey, should I do this or not? So they're kind of used to simplifying things and I wouldn't say dumbing things down, but making things easy to understand for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. So these laws that get created, and this again, pretend that these are the California laws. All these laws get created. Now in the state of California, if you go read all these laws, federal, state, all the ones that apply. And there's a lot of pages, like 900,000 laws. And there's not like one page per, right? Lots and lots of pages. Did you know that the list of things that you have to do, like the required things, like these are the things you must do. You must have this policy, or you must have this notice. That list of things is actually less than 200 unique things that you must legally do in California, like unique things. And it changes a little bit by location. 900,000 laws. Shrunk down to less than 200 things, or right about 200 things, right? So who's the human being at the law firm that you work with that actually read 900,000 laws and shrunk it down to 200? And what was their hourly bill rate? Mm-hmm. And do you really think that if you paid them $1,200 for a handbook, they actually went through that process to get it right? Again, I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but this is kind of the conversation that I had with the lawyer, right? And the lawyer looked at our platform, looked at our system, and he was like, holy shit, how long did it take to do this? Like, it was years, right? He shook his head and he's like, I get it. Yeah, I'm referring all my clients to you because we don't do this level of review. Like yeah. And the stuff that we pointed out in the handbook that wasn't quite right. I mean, it was like, I didn't even know. So, but it takes that level of effort, right? So this isn't like I don't know. I mean, Lindsay, is this something you and Tara can just do in your spare time?
Absolutely not. What is spare time? But yeah, yes, there is no chance I can read all of that. You give me the checklist of things that I need to do, and I can work with the HR Law Made Easy platform and put together that handbook that I need that's going to work out for my organization and my people as a whole.
Well, I mean, that actually touches on something else is, you say like, oh, side project handbook or policies or updating or whatever, even if you have the intention and somehow magically had, things, an HR person doesn't just sit and play with the handbook. They've got people coming to their office. They've got questions answered. They've got, questions coming in from executives. They got questions coming in from people like, hey, how do my benefits work? Hey, I got a thing. Your HR, help me out with this. So they're constantly interrupted. So to even find time where you can sit and actually look at something over the course of an hour or something to really be able to concentrate on it, even if someone had that intention to get a right handbook sort of on their own as best they could, in practice, it just doesn't work out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and like you mentioned at the beginning of this, the number of changes that happened in the last 3 months of 2025 to HR law. My dad used to say, he's a very old school man. He used to never buy a brand new car because the minute you take it off the lot, it's a used car. The minute you read those laws, if I have to read 900 laws, by the time I get to number 800, those first that I read are now out of date. And there's been updates that I don't know about. And I think I've got it all handled, but I don't know those updates have existed, and I'm just trying to push through to the end of the line.
So I graduated from Notre Dame Law School in 1999, and I started working at Arthur Andersen, which at the time was one of the largest consulting companies on the planet. And we were paid to provide an Excel spreadsheet, which was Lotus Notes back at the time, if you're familiar with that program. But it's like an Excel spreadsheet. And in that spreadsheet, there was a list of products and services that our clients were selling. And we were asked to put a taxable or exempt, meaning that they had to charge sales tax or not, with the legal citation. And I did these projects over and over and over again. And we would sometimes get paid $50, $60, $100, $200, $300, $500,000 to do these spreadsheet grids of what's taxable, what's not with the research. I remember going to the partner at the time and asking, well, what happens when the law changes? And the response was, well, next year they'll pay us to do it again. And I remember tilting my head and saying, they're going to pay us $100,000 every year to update something that's a year old. But what about the in-between if something's wrong? And he's like, oh, that I guess they'd have to like reach out to us every month. But that's not something we do. That's not our business model. And this is tax compliance, right? And that was the very first time I thought about, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to stay on top of changing laws real time so that your company isn't illegal in between, right? and then on top of that, like, who wants to pay somebody $100,000 every year to update a grid? Like what? Like why? What? Like that's just, I don't know. It just seemed like a lot to me, right? Again, I just come out of law school and whatever. I wasn't making anything. I was making like $37,000 a year, or $38,000 a year, whatever it was. Had offers for a lot more. I really liked Anderson at the time, so really happy I did all that. It was a great experience, and that led to a lot of cool career opportunities. But that aside, what I experienced then and there was, in my opinion, the absolute stupidity of doing something once, waiting and then paying to have it done again, waiting and then paying to have it done again, especially as it connects with something that's fluid. Like doing this for legal compliance has to be about the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. You know, the moment that you paid that lawyer and they give you the handbook and the policies and then they walk away, you know that tomorrow it could be out of date, or a week later it could be out of date, or like next Thursday at 4 p.m. it could be out of date. And you're going to wait then a year or 2 years. And I cannot count how many people I talk to that say, well, we had a lawyer look at this about a year and a half ago. It's probably fine. And I can tell you, how many handbooks have we reviewed, Alex, that have been right?
Let me go look at the tally. 0.
And the average number of illegal, out of date, completely missing, like antiquated language that deals with things that don't physically exist in the workplace today, because they're using templates, like the number of things that are buried in these handbooks that we find that are missing. I think the average number of errors is around 20 per handbook. What's that?
I was thinking it was 12 but I'm thinking maybe just the missing policies. I wasn't thinking about the ones that are illegal.
Yeah, you could be right. I just know that on the recent talks I've had with companies, because I've had some pretty upset executives that are like, they paid a lot of money with a big law firm and they're like, I don't understand. Then they get the lawyers on the phone and the lawyers look at it, they're like, well, shit. Yeah. HR Law Made Easy is right. We missed that, So, and the ones I'm thinking of recently have been about 20. But maybe some of them were like 19, some were 22. So I just may be thinking of recent. But global average is a dozen or so. The point being is that not only is it out of date and illegal, not only is it not going to hold up in court, right? I mean, I only talked about a handful of cases. I didn't get to the ones in 2023 and 2024 and 2025 cases last year in California and in other states, not just California. They're not like an offender, not the only ones that are out there saying, hey, this is BS, like Ohio and Pennsylvania and Missouri and other states, where Alabama, where courts are saying, hey, there's no way you as a workplace could even remotely think that your employees are reading this thing.
Right.
And the fact that they signed a piece of paper on the back end of it or the front end of it doesn't prove that they read any of this, right? We actually had one client that used to read their handbooks to their employees, which is kind of cool. I think we talked about that at an earlier time, but
which is pretty awesome because now they don't have to do that.
Oh yeah. They're now a client.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
I was going to say it's actually kind of insane, like what you realized all the way back then to like, hey, maybe maybe it could be possible to actually not actually not have something out of date. Is that even possible? I think is a very bright question. But then it goes to the absolute opposite end of the spectrum of I'm a company and I've worked for these guys. I've paid lawyers. We got our handbook. This was an investment. This was an investment into protecting the company, into protecting our employees and everything, all the way to cool. We just spent $250,000. We had the experts. And then it becomes, oops, I'm a criminal in 4 days. You spent $250,000 and now you're breaking the law. It's insane. It's a crazy system. And it's just sad.
Well, and the challenge has been, and it was the same challenge we had with sales tax back at our old company. The challenge has been to be real-time compliant with the law. You need to have a software like Watchtower, which is that behind-the-scenes software that we developed internally and that we use to monitor the law. And without that, you cannot stay on top of the laws. Like there's
no way.
No, and people don't realize it. Like, well, lawyers have access to online software, things with laws in them. Yeah, of course they do. And there's some great software out there. I mean, Lexis Westlaw used that in law school, and it's great software. For those that don't know, it's phenomenal legal research software. It's the best. I mean, there's a reason why they've been around forever. But what they don't do is then take and you could go in there and through a lot of effort grab and pull into files and store all of the HR laws, right? I mean, you could do this. It would take you an immense amount of time. And then you could set up alerts and notifications and get emails from those software programs to like notify you of like things that it's paying attention to, right? Mm-hmm. But what we've discovered over the years is that even those great software platforms that have the law, the Westlaws and the Lexis of the world, because that's not what they do. Like they're not focused on just a law. They bring all the law that gets published to a platform, and then you research it. And it's predominantly used by attorneys and for court cases and so on. So there's a heavy emphasis on court cases, which is really, of course, needed in that line of work. But what they're not doing is they're not focused on how do I grab the laws that apply to this topic or this area, which is HR or employment law, and then how do I pay attention to the things beyond it? So I'm not going to stop with just storing these laws. How do I then take that information and translate it into plain English and let somebody know exactly what they need to do? In other words, how do I take all this and turn it into like, here's the 163 things you need to do in Missouri. Here's the 212 things you need to do in California. Here's the 117 things you need to do in Florida, whatever those lists are, right? Like, how do I turn it into like what we call a checklist, right? Well, that requires somebody to read it and understand it and then to stay on top of it and then bring that over into a platform. And that's just not their line of work. And it's certainly not what attorneys are sitting around doing in their spare time. So somebody had to decide, okay, we're going to suck it up and do it. And that was us. I mean, this is what we did in our last company for taxes. This is what we're doing in this company for HR. And it's needed because if ever there were a group that gets no love or attention, like their software is ugly. I mean, if you haven't seen some of these HRS systems, like, I mean, how many times? Yeah. I mean, it's not pretty software. If ever there was a group that needed some love and attention, it's HR, like truly. I mean, HR and tax, they both just need hugs. Yeah.
Well, and I was going to say that when you asked Tara at the very beginning of this episode, what the difference is that she sees in our platform and other tools that she uses, I really want to highlight, maybe it's petty of me, but it's pretty. Our platform is pretty and it's friendly, not just user friendly, but I log in and it says, hello, Lindsay, like, how are you? It is inviting. I want to be in that platform using it. I know that it gives me confidence being in there, knowing that it has all of the correct laws, all of the correct policies. It makes it so easy for me to make those available for all of our people. But that the beautiful platform that it is really does improve my day when I use that tool. I am all for the simplicity of just a black and white screen that just gives me the data that I need in some other platforms. But if it's something that I need to use every day for multiple things, having it be pretty is a huge bonus.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, it's not hard on the eyes.
There's another small company I heard of who had like a similar idea that were like, hey, the aesthetics of software and hardware should be high. You guys heard of these guys, Apple?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. How are they doing?
I don't know. I haven't followed it up. Let me check my iPhone.
Nice. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's outstanding. Yeah. It's true. You know, it's funny. I didn't meet Steve. We did work for Apple at my last company. And I know that we were aligned in the way that we looked at things from a design perspective. And I know, Jim, you are as well when you and I work together on designs. It's the goal, like, so everybody has different goals. And a lot of times it's like, I don't know, it's fluff or bullshit or whatever it is. But you, as my grandmother used to say, my Nana, you know, you can't fake give a shit. You either really give a shit or you don't give a shit. And it shows, like it shows in your actions, not just in your words. So, you know, when Jim and I get together and we're talking about like, you know, why are we doing this? Like, why are we spending time to grab an image of every single state capital that's really beautiful? Because it's nice when you're hopping into like a state report to like have that background there. Like it's pretty. Also, for those that live there, there's a sense of pride. Like there's an emotional positive response that we can create. And our goal has been since the beginning, and I say our goal, I know Jim and I working together in design because we work very closely together every day. Our goal has always been, how can we genuinely bring a smile to someone's face? How can we create a moment where they do something and they have that feeling of like, wow, that was really nice, right? Yeah, sure, they're in the middle of doing their job, they're in the middle of doing work, maybe they're reading the laws in our system, maybe they're updating a policy or an agreement, or they're sending something out. But if we can create that moment where they're like, I like this, to your point, Lindsay, worth it.
Right.
Like worth it. Worth the hours of like, well, how do we get this screenshots in the platform?
It's a really good point, though. I mean, if you look at like Uber, they hyper optimized that experience, right? They really went in on how do we bring a smile to this person's face with regards to getting from point A to point B, and it works. It makes people's lives and days better to know that he's coming around this corner, and it knows where I am, that I'm on this corner. That's huge. That's a good user experience, which makes people have actually better lives. I know I'm sounding crazy, but it is better. It's nicer. Yeah.
No, it's not crazy at all. And for those that are watching, especially those that are software engineers, are probably wondering what goes on behind the scenes, and they're thinking to themselves, like, no company runs this way. Like the software engineers would riot. Alex and I have spent a lot of time with Lindsay finding the right engineers, because it takes a very special software engineer to roll with what Jim and I just described. Am I right, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. It comes right back to Nana. Can't fake give a shit. When the developers understand the purpose and are aligned with the same purpose, you get the outcome you want, which is that it works and that it is easy to use and easy to understand. And I think the biggest thing is, let's say you're borrowing off of like, oh, hey, I like this drop down in this particular thing or whatever, and let me suggest it. And they can bring that suggestion, and then there can be like ooh, yeah, we don't really want to hide those. It's a good drop down, but let's not make it a drop down. Let's put those buttons over here. Like, it's a very collaborative process. And both sides are very open to, and by sides, I mean, it's not really sides, right? But the design and product team and the software team are working together, and no one's feelings are hurt. Everyone knows that it's the product. Nobody thinks, oh, this is my baby, don't call it ugly. It's very much just like, hey, we're building the best software we can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And it changes the game too, because like when you're aligned like that on purpose and goals, you have a bigger game. It isn't, I hope the programmers implement my design, which is a fine game. I've played that game. But, the end user, the dude who threw the thing in the back of his truck, who had to go to court because the whole thing, that dude got to duplicate something, and it wasn't hidden in a dropdown, because dropdowns are not a great user experience. A table of contents should not be in a dropdown. Can't see it. It's all hidden away. No, but we're all aligned for the same game. And the game is, how do we actually make it possible to be compliant and understand the handbook at the same time, which is a fun game.
Yeah.
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 Just something else that we incorporate into our handbook presentations and the tools that we provide for our clients is like you have to have the law to follow the law, right? Your team has to know your purpose and your mission and your goal to be able to get aligned with it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Yeah. All the custom policies that could be created and put into the handbook presentations. Yeah.
Which actually sort of circles back around to the fact that it's not an us versus them. It's not a sides, running into each other in the same way that it's not company versus employees, right? Like there's none of this concept of HR being like, we're against, or it's all to accomplish the same goal that everybody wants, which is I want to go to work and get done what I want to get done at work. And I want to follow the rules and everybody's on the same page. And that's the purpose of the handbook and HR.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, which company would you rather work for? The one where you show up and you meet the HR person, they hand you a pile of things and then they're on your ass to sign these things. Or you show up and you meet somebody and they say, hey, it's really important to us that here at our company, everyone here understands stuff. So we've actually got presentations of these things and this information. And the goal here is to make sure you understand it. Otherwise, what's the point in spending the time? Like, which person would you rather work for?
Right.
The one that cares.
Yeah. The one that gives a shit about me, that gives a crap about my understanding and my ability to get this stuff. Right. And HR should not be a group that people dread having to go talk to. It shouldn't be, when you hear HR, it shouldn't be like that's not the moment that HR, I mean, the HR people that I know are lovely. They're amazing. They care about individuals. They want things to be great. And they've just been lacking the tools to do this work in a way that helps their employees understand. They've been lacking the tools to do this work in a way that just makes all of it effortless. And they've just been stuck with these antiquated on-the-shelf paper handbooks. We're going to do a series of videos where we actually show what the real value of handbooks, the traditional handbooks, are.
Is it a doorstop?
Doorstops are great. Balancing your desk surface is also really good. But I really think that the most valuable tool for a handbook is cures for insomnia. I think handbooks are great for fitness. They're very heavy and they could be used in many, many fitness applications.
Survival applications as well. As, those survivor shows, a lot of them just bring handbooks now to start their fires. It's very survival.
Yeah. So Tara, if 5 office ninjas showed up and you had a stack of handbooks, do you think that those traditional handbooks could stop those ninjas?
I think if I chuck them really hard, maybe.
I think it depends on the binding, right? Like, is it a hard handbook?
Yeah.
Employee handbooks, the number one cure for office ninjas.
Yeah. We actually don't take care of that anymore now that it's all like online and easy.
Yeah, actually, I can prove that HR Law Made Easy solves the Office Ninja problem because none of our clients have Office Ninjas.
It worked.
0%. Yeah.
I don't even know what an Office Ninja is. I just made that crap up. You just imagine a bunch of ninjas show up in your office. Like, what are these ninjas doing here?
Not these guys again.
Yeah. It's like one of those action movies where you like hold up the handbook and the throwing star hits it. You're like, right.
Yeah. You only need one handbook to stop that penetration.
That's right. And then you take it back.
I like where this conversation is ending up. This is correct. This is what we should be talking about.
Yeah. I did have a conversation. This company will absolutely remain nameless. I did have a conversation with a company. This would be like an HR Law Made Easy fail, meaning that we talked with a company. They saw the product. The HR group was like, "Wow, this is really incredible," and they really got it right. And then the lady at the end asked, "Well, can we just download the handbook in a PDF and just have them sign it?" And of course, we said, "Yeah, I mean, you can, but why would you do that? I mean, that you kind of like it loses the ability to track, date, time stamp of all the policy in the videos and really make sure people understand it." And this person unfortunately said to me, well, right now onboarding takes like several hours. And if I actually had them have to watch a video that took like 20, 30 minutes, that would add like a lot of time. And I like for them to just do what they've been doing, which is just sign it.
It's so sad. That's so sad.
That brings up a really good point, though. That whole you can't fake give a shit. Are you making, as an employer, making the time for your people to do this, or are you giving them a handbook and saying, read this in your spare time, sign it when you're done, let us know you've completed this task? Making the time for your people to sit down and spend 20 to 30 minutes to truly understand your policies and what is required of them in the job, what they can expect from you as an employer, is huge. That's a level of care that it just can't be missed. You can't skip over that.
Yeah.
And like Sean said, it's really lovely working for those type of people. I had like the classic misunderstandings working in the tech industry where people read a policy. They cannot read the policy, just so you know. They're not a lawyer. They're a software person or a manager. They try to read it. They misunderstand it. And now they make the game of my employer is my enemy. And then they go out and act out and lash out. Like, I had to sign this, otherwise I don't get any. And it becomes this insane game. And on the flip side, having your boss come by and be like, oh, no, that's just for this. See, if you do this, you're good. You do that, you're bad. Oh, thanks. It's nice. It's actually really nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're coming up on an hour, so I want to wrap things up by just kind of going around the room and sharing whatever you want to share about HR Law Made Easy, or about your experience with the platform, or anything you want to share with people that are watching. Like, it could be somebody's on the fence. Like, what would you say to them? Or it could be like, hey, here's what I want to share about my experience with this platform.
Can I go first? Oh, sorry, Lindsay, you go.
No, I'll start because I have a fun one here where this is totally my HR fail, where there are certain federal and local policies that need to be in front of your people. So through our old onboarding process, or my old onboarding process way back in the day, there were a few, literally 3 federal notices and a couple of state notices that I sent to new employees through the onboarding process. After getting implemented into HR Law Made Easy, my employees now have more than a dozen, because they are required, more than a dozen posters that they have viewed. I have the timestamp of when we took the time to go and view those, and they have access to them whenever they need to read that again. So if there's something surrounding federal minimum wage or something like that, we haven't had any issues. But if there is something around that they want to go and read that policy again, or that notice again, they can go log into the system and go view that notice again. I felt like I had completely failed my people by giving them the 3 notices that I was sending them in the beginning. And there were so many important things that were skipped over that honestly, I just didn't even know about. I care about people. I take my role very seriously because I get to be that first face of like, this company cares about you. This isn't just, I'm not Toby from HR. I'm not here to make your life difficult. I want you to have a good experience and enjoy working here. And I was failing them by not giving them all of the information that they needed when they started.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. I was going to say, this one's for California and New York. Like Sean said, he wasn't going to pick on any particular states, but we see you, and there's literally nothing. You keep coming. You come with all those crazy extra laws. You think it's impossible because there's like a tree system. We have to sign this. Yeah, we'll take care of it. You can't get us.
Bulletproof.
That's right.
I don't think there's anyone in those states that's creating laws with the purpose of getting us, but
you said I could talk to anybody, and theoretically that guy could exist.
100%. I totally do get that at times it feels like lawmakers are out to get, which they're not, but yeah, it could feel that way for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that does touch on what I wanted to sort of end off with is I really like doing the impossible, and this is definitely something that is impossible, but that we have done. And I will let everybody in on a little secret of how one does the impossible is you break it into small pieces, as many small pieces as you need to make it so that each individual small piece is in fact doable. And when you bring it all back together, that impossible task is done.
Mm-hmm.
I love
And
that.
just keep
That's
chipping
awesome.
away at it. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. And just also the care, letting us help you just care for your employees. I think that just what we do shines. And I just want everybody to get to experience that. And it's what we offer. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've talked a lot about HR Law Made Easy today. We've done a lot of discussions about different things, the laws and everything else. I love that you ended on care, Tara, and I'm just going to build on that if I can, or just kind of pick up the baton from you if you don't mind, because we've covered this a few times. You can't fake give a shit. Da, 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 da. I referenced my grandmother a couple times. So, but care is it's the goal of everything that we do. The goal is that any company that we work with has an experience where they end their day looking back at their day. And if any part of that day was connected to working with our team or using our software or interacting with some of the things we've created, we'd love for those moments to be moments that people look back on and say, oh yeah, that was cool. Like, above satisfied, right? So up in that happy range. Very glad if we're going back to Rome, Italy, which of course is the birthplace of all words, according to the dictionaries. No words existed before. Sorry, I get on a soapbox. But that said, very glad is the origin of happy. It is created around 1150, 350 years before satisfaction. Blah 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 blah. But the goal is for those individuals to actually feel genuinely glad or happy. And we know we're succeeding when that's the outcome. And I know today in our office meeting, because we do a Friday meeting with all the team members, and the client success team did their presentation this week. And I know just from the feedback that we got just this last week from clients, and there was a half a dozen or more individual pieces of feedback. I mean, it really does. It verifies that that's the outcome. It verifies that we're succeeding. Like we're actually succeeding at making HR something that's pleasant and fun, and people feel very glad about. They feel happy about it, not something that they dread and that they are worried about, or they want to run the other way because they're like, I can't. I don't want to talk about this. Yeah, I know I'm illegal, but I don't want to talk about it. Hey, we can help you. Like,
Yes. Yeah. What was that one quote? It was so beautiful. The client had said that our professional that was working with them was their assistant in happiness.
Yeah,
I think was
the personal happiness assistant.
There you go.
Yes, that's what it was. Personal happiness assistant.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Or I don't remember the exact structure of the wording, but that was the message. Yeah, personal happiness assistant. Yeah. So for those that are out there waiting, our hope is that you don't. It's never too late to follow the law.
Mm-hmm.
It's never too late to decide to do things right, and you just got to forgive yourself. Like I think that the companies that make the easy transition to HR Law Made Easy, they do so because they realize, like, once they understand the details, so like, holy crap, and they see the number of laws that are there, and then they get the challenge, like, call your lawyer right now and see if they know how many laws are in California. There's not a single lawyer in California that knows. Google doesn't even know. We know because we have them all, but unless you have them all, you don't know. So, it's the moment that they realize that this is impossible without a software platform like this. And then there's kind of that moment of relief. Like they kind of forgive themselves. They're like, oh, I get it. Like before HR Law Made Easy, this isn't really something that could be done. Like, no,
Right.
it isn't. I mean, there's no one that has everything under one roof, the trainings and the policies and the documents and the agreements and the procedures and the notices and the posters, kept all up to date real time with all the laws supporting it, with a team that you can reach out to and ask questions, all wrapped into a platform that not only gives you that content, because that's step one, but also lets you deliver that content to your employees, which is step two, and then lets you track date, time stamp of whether they viewed it, signed it, acknowledged it. That's step three. And you get to do it all, like underneath one roof, which is really nice. So, Alex, Jim, Lindsay, Tara, thank you for making time today. As always, I love spending time with you.